Okay, thank you for that, Attorney Tristan Lopez. Mr. Mark Fernandez from Finance Philippine Seminars. And then after that, I'll call again on Attorney Gonzalez and then Attorney Ricalde if you have something else to add.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. So we at Finance Page Seminars, we've been conducting estate planning seminars for a while, and most of the common concerns is on the multi-generational transfer of properties. So we would like to suggest if we can have it retained. The suggestion was to for one generation it will be 6%, the tax will be 6%. Like if for two generations, make it like 8%, for three generations 10%. But as much as possible, if we can only have one form for all the generations, if it's the intention was if it's gonna reduce the taxes, we can actually have an escalating tax rate, like more generations, which would mean a higher tax rate. Also, what another concern which was noted by the
Yeah,
L
before you
from
go
the
on to the other concern, I'm glad you raised that. I think you're the only one, at least you're the only one I caught who raised that. May I know from the OFBIR, is the objection to that provision because of the lost revenue such that it's not acceptable to lump as one transaction or one transfer these multi-generational transfers. Therefore, it is DOF's opinion that it should be 6% from great-grandfather to grandfather, another 6% from grandfather to father, and then another 6%, because the resource person now is mentioning a discounted rate. No, you're now saying that instead of the one transaction or one transfer fee or one estate fee, discounted na lang, 6 or 8. So that's kind of new. So may I hear from DOF what their main position on this is? And like, is there room for there? Having said that, I don't know if there will be time to go into that. That might have to be basis for something else. I don't know. But let me hear from DOF. Yusek, can you share your thoughts on that? Yusek Tonet.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, the reason for having one rate is for simplification, or rather than and if you look into the reason for the veto, it was basically to the effect that there are multiple generational transfers of heirs, right? Of it actually for practical purposes it favors whoever is the current filer of the estate tax return, right? But it doesn't mean that he is the sole person who has all the rights to all the properties, right? So that's the issue there. That's why we don't want to um have, and then he's gonna get a car and have it settled, right? So what if in between or before him there are other heirs who are not properly represented? So that is one issue. That's why if you have only one settlement or one payment by whoever is the filer, I mean, what assurance do we have that there are no heirs who are prejudiced by it? So that's also one practical um,
But
aspect.
doesn't
But I agree, your idea is very good. One,
yeah, sorry,
yeah,
let me just interject, no? Issue by issue kasi pag sabay-sabay na may nawawala eh. I hear what you're saying, you Sectonet, but isn't that addressed by, well, number one, a settlement, if that's possible. I mean, there may be cases where may settlement naman sila, so clear naman yon. Or number two, not a settlement per se, but an agreement that it's going to be paid. Like, as previously discussed, even if they weren't multi-generational, even if it was just a one-generation transaction, if we're agreeing to say that, if we're agreeing to the estate tax being paid regardless of their settlement, we're not giving any benefit, undue advantage to the one who paid. We're just saying na at least nag-agree kayo to settle this, bayad na, pero you still have your your own internal dynamics to figure out. So I don't quite know.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if
yeah,
there may be sufficient language naman to address that, because it is
yeah.
a
I think,
concern, but I think that can be addressed because that same issue arises even if hindi multi-generational, 'di ba? Sila pwede mo sila hindi nag-agree on how they're settling it, 'di ba?
yeah, that's right. I think what can be addressed by the regulations, because eventually, you're correct. Eventually, they will need that extrajudicial settlement, right, in order to get a car to transfer the title. Um, so what can be addressed in the regulations is when that will be required. Is it at the point of paying the estate tax, or is it at the point when you get already your car? So that's something that we can change the timing of in the regulations, because you're gonna need it anyway to get to get the car to transfer the title. So that point, at that point, we can address that certainly.
But I'm not sure if I missed your response on my question as to what is your main objective? What is your main? Does your objection to did that veto and now the objection to the inclusion of this provision in the House bill? Uh, was it also because of the loss of revenue on a per generation transfer?
Well, that wasn't, sorry, that wasn't the main reason. But let me read to you the veto um, in the last bill. It says, while I applaud the ingenuity behind the proposal, I believe there is a need to apply the estate tax amnesty at every stage of the transfer of the property. We must take no cognizance of the rules of succession under the Civil Code of the Philippines on transmission of property rights and obligations of decedents. The tax on estates is imposed not because of the property itself, but on the privilege of transferring the property to the heirs. The flat rate of 6% estate tax amnesty without penalties imposed at every stage is more than a fair imposition of the privilege. So
So it is the intention to impose a 6% rate at every, kasi nga we've already come from a higher rate, well, graduated but still overall a higher rate, right? That's my understanding of what you just read. That the
yes, that's
intention is
right.
6% reasonable na yan, live with it. That's what that's I think what it said, no?
That's right. That's right. It
Okay.
was 20%, and 6% is really low already.
Okay. So, and I do believe, I mean, I take everyone's comments, I give importance to everyone's comments, but that really might not be something I am capable of addressing in 3 weeks. No? So anyway, thank you for that, Yusek Tunet. Let me give the floor back to Mr. Mark Fernandez. You had a second point that you wanted to raise.
Um, thank you, Madam Chair. So another point that we want to raise is that the timeline provided in the train law is different from the LGU code. So I think it was mentioned by the previous speaker that the the transfer is from the date of death. You need to pay the LGU transfer fees within 60 days. So most of our attendees and most of the people who consult with us, the concern is they usually get to settle the estate, let's say after 6 months. So they get to be penalized for the transfer fees because the transfer fees is only 60 days. 60 days lang yung deadline, whereas the estate tax it's a year. So if I don't know if this is something that we can address with the current amnesty law, but definitely this is something that should be considered because hindi sila magkapareho yung deadlines ng LGU and sa national government. And then the third point is on the sometimes during the lockdown period there were several restrictions imposed on the transfer. So maybe we can have I don't know if this is something that we can do, but maybe an online confirmation from the BIR will be sufficient as a pass during checkpoints, or because the challenge when you transfer properties is you need to go to the LGU where the property is located. So for example, you want to go to another LGU just to settle the transfer fees. You need, there are certain restrictions due to the lockdown. So this also makes it difficult for the people to really go to the LGU physically. So maybe we can have like an online confirmation from the BIR as a like a, I don't know, that's just a suggestion, but definitely it's one of the three concerns that we want to raise. That's all, Madam Chair.
Sorry, so your third one was just the ease of communicating with BIR. Tama ba yun? Did I capture that?
With the LGU side, when you want to transfer the property, you need to go to the LGU
Yes.
where the property is located. So, for example, I have a property in Palawan.
Yes.
My heirs have to go to Palawan, and sometimes due to the restrictions of the lockdown, they can't go to Palawan. So maybe we can have like a document from the BIR, like an online appointment form, as a proof that they can be allowed to go to Palawan to settle the property there.
Okay. What I think I will do in the interest of getting the most urgent matter settled, which is the simple extension, itong mga rules and everything, I will be happy to have a parang TWG, or even just a consultative meeting where I will ask all the stakeholders to attend, so that when we pass the basic law extending the extension, I don't hear later on that wala rin nangyari because all of these other little stumbling blocks or delaying practices or steps that have currently been in place effectively prevents the law from being enforced, no? So I can do that naman, because not everything that you're bringing up now can be included in the law, but they are valid points in terms of getting the job done, which is extending this to the most and having the most number of people avail of it. So thank you for your input, Mr. Fernandez. Let me now go back to Attorney Francisco Gonzalez. Sir, did you want to add